Hi everybody, happy Friday. This week saw a new study on the benefits of early intervention in premature infants that has applicability to autism, and the ASF visited the Dallas node of the Autism BrainNet. I'm so excited to tell you about both of these things. As part of a study out of Columbia University, researchers have been studying the outcomes after intervention of premature babies who had to stay in the NICU. The NICU is an abbreviation for Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, and this is where premature infants have to stay for anywhere between a month to a few months, depending on when they're born. Researchers are starting to discover prematurity as a risk factor for autism. A couple of years ago, a study put the rate of autism at 8% of babies born prematurely. Scientists don't really know the reason why, but it could be that the survival of very preterm infants is getting better, and some of the long-term effects of being born way too early are showing up in a number of ways, including autism. This study involved an intervention called the Family Nurture Intervention. In this study, nurture specialists met with the Family Nurture Intervention mothers an average of 6.5 hours a week to facilitate calming sessions. Initial sessions took place while the infants were confined to the isolette, which is where the plexiglass box where infants live. The first FNI, or Family Nurture Intervention activity, was a scent cloth exchange. The mother wore one cloth in her bra and the other was placed under her infant's head. At each visit, the infant received the mother's cloth and the mother received the infant's cloth. Nurture specialists instructed mothers to use gentle but firm and sustained touch and to speak to their infants about their feelings in their native language and to engage in as much eye contact as possible. Further, the above activities were incorporated into the skin-to-skin and non-skin-to-skin holding once infants were stable enough to be removed from the isolette to stay at the NICU. They were able to randomize the intervention in about 100 families so that half got this intervention and half got the standard of care for NICU babies. The original goal was to look at some very early behaviors like heart rate and blood pressure, but then the researchers decided to look at the longer-term outcomes and screen the infants for autism at 18 months of age, and this was corrected for prematurity. At the request of some of the followers of this podcast, a PubMed link to the study is posted in the comments section. The infants who received the FNI intervention scored slightly but significantly better on cognitive measures and attention at 18 months. Also, none of those in the intervention group scored as high risk for autism, while about 20% of those in the standard of care group did, using a standard screening measure for autism, the MCHAT, or Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers. While this is not a substitute for an autism diagnosis, it is a promising intervention for preterm infants and for following them up for an autism diagnosis. This last part is essential. The intervention is clearly not applicable to those babies born on time, and it clearly can't be used as early intervention that's widely used to prevent autism. But it is the sort of intervention that's probably beneficial for the baby and beneficial for parents who completely agonize when they're not able to be in close contact with their infant after they're born. Hopefully it leads to changes in care for all NICUs. After all, it didn't just reduce MCHAT positive screening, it led to positive outcomes in multiple areas. In addition to telling you about the new research, I also wanted to let you know about the amazing week that the Autism Science Foundation had in Dallas, Texas. Allison and I were attending a meeting called the Health Research Alliance, which includes 62 large and small nonprofit organizations dedicated to biomedical research. We spent a day and a half discussing how nonprofit organizations can be creative in support of research compared to those large governmental agencies, and the role that these nonprofit organizations have to be transformative in changing the way science is funded. Different organizations gave different examples of their funding mechanisms to move research forward quickly. They included the American Cancer Society, the Doris Duke Foundation, and the Burroughs Wellcome Fund, just to name a few. In fact, if you want to see a full list of who's involved, go to healthra.org. The presentation included focused efforts to answer a specific question in research, for example, immunotherapy and cancer, and the importance of providing smaller seed funding to address questions that are not ready for the NIH. This is collectively a group that sees outcomes as more than just publications, but the impact on the community. We are so honored to be a part of this group, and we expect to learn about innovative ways to support research and researchers, because it isn't just about projects, it's about people. Also, we visited the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, which has one of the few integrated research and clinical programs for autism in the U.S. and certainly in the Southwest. It's true, everything is big in Texas, and this campus is huge, stretching multiple buildings across a major highway. The president had made it a mandate years ago to ensure that autism researchers collaborated and moved clinical services for autism into just one building. This means that people with autism can see a psychologist, a neurologist, a GI doctor, and a psychiatrist on one floor of the same building, and then right downstairs get interventions and treatments. There's even a dental clinic in this building that has been giving real-life training on providing dental care for individuals with autism. While the concept alone isn't totally novel, the way that the systems are integrated is unique. This group also took a step further and housed research projects for autism in the same wing. So individuals who want to participate in research studies go to the same office and they have the most options available. No doubt this improves both clinical services for autism and research studies. Also, 2 buildings down are the basic labs, where on one floor, researchers are housing rat models and mouse models of autism, and on the next floor, postmortem brain tissue from people with autism is being studied. I know this may sound silly, but this really does speed up research. The amount of time wasted when you have to go back and forth between different campuses and different buildings just to do basic operations of a study can be enormous. When different labs are in different buildings, it makes things harder to meet and discuss projects and harder to collaborate. This gives researchers the opportunity to just go up one set of stairs or take the elevators to discuss cases, share equipment and facilities, and conduct studies that involve different strains of animals and different genetic knockouts. It's really amazing. UT Southwestern is also one of the nodes of the Autism BrainNet. As you've heard me talk about this before, this is a crucial resource and part of the way autism research organizations are working together to provide resources that are critical to finding answers in autism. UT Southwestern is a model for how clinical services can walk hand in hand with research. We had the opportunity to visit with the family of a donor to the Autism BrainNet who said, "It wasn't even a question on our mind. We knew it was the right thing to do and a way to help other families with autism." It was truly an honor to spend time at UT Southwestern and with this family, and we promise you'll be hearing more about the great work at this node of the Autism BrainNet and at other nodes. In fact, if you haven't already, please read the quarterly newsletter of the Autism BrainNet, which can be found on our Facebook page and the Autism BrainNet homepage. Thank you again for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next week.